everyone, thanks for joining us today on Thrive Thursday. I am Jen Fredericks, here with Lori Kuhn and Shane Reed, and we are talking about Lori's article this week, Clear Intentions. Now, I think a lot of people are very, very familiar with goals, right? And goals are cool, but what's even cooler are intentions, and how many different ways you can use intentions to guide you through life in your many different experiences, whether it be with yourself, in business, in sport, parenting, whatnot. And what I love about Lori's article is that it goes into a specific way that she used intentions in a business setting, which I can also relate to very well, and was hoping that you might share a little bit about what led you to wanting to write about clear intentions this week, and then also I love the idea of the anchor points that you shared with us that help you set your intention.
Mm-hmm. And my purpose behind this article was like a next level of intention setting, because like with goals, we set goals but they're loose. We set intentions but they're loose. And so it's easy for us to do that, and then oftentimes we get lost in our intention or we lose sight of our goals because they're not clear. And so what I wanted to do with this article is bring people back to how can I get clear so that this intention or this goal is more effective or more impactful. And so kind of the strategies I lay out and the anchor point is about that, because I really feel like to accomplish a goal or to really set a clear intention, you need that anchor point, because sometimes when you're on your trajectory somewhere and you get thrown off your path, so if you do have a goal, like this in sports, and something happens and you're thrown off your path, sometimes it's hard to get back on. So those anchor points are there, so it's easier for you to find your way back, so you can keep your trajectory or your momentum going in the direction you want it to go in.
Very cool. I would, if we could take a situation and walk through your anchor points and kind of apply what you have discussed in the article to an actual example, so that everyone can understand how they can do this in life for themselves, that would be completely cool.
Yeah. And you had a great example.
So one thing that came up for me when I was reading Lori's article was when I was in event marketing in a corporate setting, there was always a very big need, and I understand why, for risk management plans and contingency plans. And these plans were pages long sometimes, where we would lay out every single thing that could potentially go wrong in any aspect of an event that we were planning. One, it was very Debbie Downer for me, and I don't like to play in that space then nor now. And two, it was very difficult to put that risk management or contingency plan into play when something really did go down. And what I love and wish I would have had as a tool back in the day would have been these anchor points to help me decide how I wanted to move through that risk that was taking place. So what I'm thinking of is an event that I did in Philadelphia, and it was in a park, so it was open, and we had like the whole grid laid out of these are some of the things that could happen, and we're going to rate them in order of how likely they are to happen, and then what is our next step if they happen. And of course we had this situation laid out where, someone who wasn't part of our event in the park decided to beat down someone who was part of our event. And of course, it was very fun planning, and it actually happened. So at least we had it did happen. Oh, no. And so at least we had thought through what we could do. But when you're in the moment, all you have with you is you. You don't have your binder of contingency plan that you can open up and say, oh, okay, here's the line where a person starts to beat up someone else, and then what I'm supposed to do is this, 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 and this.
Section 200.1.
Exactly. It was really that large. And I understand the need to do that, but I totally think being strong in your intention of how you want something to go and how you want to experience it and how you want to show up if something were to go down is much more effective than spending all that Debbie Downer time thinking up all the worst case scenarios. Anyway, so what I'm looking at here is your anchor points. And the first one is establish the essence of what it is you would like to feel during the experience. And so when I would be setting an intention for, say, this event before this thing goes down, I would like to feel in control and calm and powerful to help bring that to a resolution. Right? But at the time I didn't. I felt completely panicked because I didn't have my binder attached to my side.
Yeah. Because you're like, what do I do now?
Exactly. So what is one of your favorite anchor points to help set your intention?
I generally like to get clear on the outcome and not to where I'm attached to it, but just I know where the end point is, and then I like to establish the energy I want to come from. So that way I know where I'm heading and I know where I want to come from. So then if I lose sight of where I'm coming from, I can anchor back to that, and if I lose sight of where I'm going, so I have those two connection points to guide me back. So, and then it's always, if I feel myself getting heightened or thrown off kilter, I can come back to, okay, where was it I wanted to come from? Well, I wanted to come from love and appreciation. Okay, that's easy for me to get back to. And so it's from your essence, like you're saying, or if it's where I'm heading, well, I wanted to head to a point where it was constructive and moving forward. And then I can go into the questioning. Is where we're at now moving us forward? Or is where we're at, am I coming from a place of love and acceptance? So then I can always question myself if I'm meeting those two ends of the spectrum.
What I really love about this is that it's one simple thing or a couple simple words or affirmations or whatever it happens to be that allows you to be creative and complex and intelligent within these situations that you don't see coming up. And whereas if you were just spouting off a line from paragraph 202.1, it wouldn't come across like that. It would come across like you were reading off a binder, and I don't think the situation would culminate in a way that would be true to you. So.
And what I like about this is you don't always have to know your situations to apply this. So oftentimes, an example I use is if your boss calls you in and says, you know, Shane, come on, I want to have a talk with you, and you're like, is that a good tone or a bad tone? Should I be worried, or, you know, what's going on here? And in those situations, people are like, how do you set an intention? Well, it's hard because you don't know what's going on. So how do I get clear on that? Well, you can say, I'm meeting with my boss. I'm going to set the intention that I want to feel good when I'm in there. I want to feel like I know what I'm talking about. So when you go into those spaces, you can at least know how you want to feel throughout the conversation. So whether it's negative or positive, you can anchor back to, okay, I'm not feeling really good about this, but my intention was to come in here and feel good. So what can I start doing to feel better about how this is going? So I look at that as your anchor point.
Very cool. Very cool. Shane, how do you apply this? Because I know that you're in the throes of volleyball season. How do you apply intention setting, goal setting with your team?
So, intention setting for me comes at there could be two kind of areas where we do it. One would be in the moment. So like today I am here, you know, getting ready to go into a training. You know, I have a general overall rule of, you know, what we're doing at training, and I've got a plan and all this good stuff. And then the intention for me going into trainings is I want to make sure that the energy is good, there's productivity happening, and so when I feel something not doing that, okay, or if I feel some, I don't know, just something that doesn't feel right, I can go back to those and say, okay, is what we're doing right now energetically positive? And I don't mean like rah positive, but I mean like going in a direction that is good for the team. And then, you know, is this productive? And so I have a plan going in, but now my intentions allow me to change my plan or my binder to allow for complex decisions and better decisions for changing a course of action or ending a drill. Killing a drill because it's just not good. And so that's how I would use them, at least on the day-to-day.
Cool. What I'm hearing in all of this is the extreme importance of always coming back to you as your anchor in using some of these questions, and like what is the purpose or what am I trying to achieve by setting this intention, it's always coming back to you. And that's one of the main teachings here at Thrive, is that we believe the most important thing is that you know yourself, and coming back to you to decide how you want to experience and navigate life or a situation. And would just like to invite anyone here who's watching to engage with us, because we have several ways that we can help guide you to know yourself so well that you can always go back to your anchor points when you're setting intentions, or you're out in the world, or you're in your boss's office. And so before I share some of those opportunities, just want to know if there's anything else you guys would like to share before we wrap up.
I guess the only thing I would like to share with goal setting and with intention setting is just loosely hanging on to the outcome. So it's not so tight, you're not hanging on to it so tight, like this has to happen, that you rule out any other possibilities from coming in.
I love that, because that also brings in the potential for magic, things that aren't even in our realm of awareness yet that could actually happen and move us forward. Cool.
Cool, and I would say just use your intuition. Feel what's going on in the situation, and if it feels like it's not going the way you want to, reconnect to that anchor point. And
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, sure.
And we'd like to invite you guys to come check out thrivehdc.com and look at some of the upcoming events we have going on that can help guide you to yourself and can help you find your anchor points. We have HPT going on right now. Sorry guys, it's closed, but you can join us in January. Same with Human Influencer Training or HIT. We'll also start again in January. Again, thrivehdc.com. Shoot us a message, let us know what your anchor points are and how you use intention setting. Thanks for joining us.